My name is Brigham with Ways to Well. My company, Ways to Well, is focused on longevity and preventative care. The goal is to help people live longer, healthier, happier lives. We do that through an array of different treatments, but everything starts with first truly doing a deep dive into you at the biological level and trying to assess where there's areas of growth development and where there may be shortcomings in diet, nutrition, exercise, lifestyle choices, and then where necessary, pharmaceutical intervention. We own a world-class compounding pharmacy, Revive RX in Houston, Texas, that allows us to compound a lot of unique proprietary blends, whether we're talking hormone optimization, peptide therapy, or just life-saving, life-improving drugs for pennies on the dollar. That's what we do at Revive. So one of the questions we get all the time at Ways to Well, at our medical practice is, how do I increase lean muscle mass? What are some tools in the tool belt that'll help me increase lean muscle mass? Obviously, there is no substitute for diet, nutrition, and exercise. Those are a must, a cornerstone of any treatment. And no matter what supplement you take, what peptide you take, what hormone optimization supplement you take, without proper diet, nutrition, and exercise and a clear, concise strategy, you're going to struggle to put on and maintain lean muscle mass. That being said, we do have an array of tools in our tool belt that can help optimize your lean muscle mass development. One of the things that gets talked about all the time is testosterone therapy. That's a no-brainer. So I don't want to dive into that today. I'd rather focus on some of the things that don't get talked about quite as much. A lot of times we have gentlemen come into our practice who are maybe in their 30s, who are in that bridge gap area where you wouldn't want to prescribe testosterone because we don't want them to be on that compound for life. But through diet, nutrition, and exercise, proper sleep, all the coaching and development we do, we're still not quite able to get you there on your hormone levels to where we'd want you to be to optimize your ability to put on lean muscle mass. For those individuals, there's some great tools in the tool belt that are often overlooked. HCG. HCG is a fertility drug that's been on the market over 30 years. It's safe. It allows the body to upregulate its natural testosterone production, which won't impact your hormones adversely. And so we can boost your natural testosterone, hopefully pushing you up into those optimal ranges or into a therapeutic range that primes the system to allow you to put on and maintain lean muscle mass. Another compound that falls in that category would be clomiphene. Clomiphene is also utilized to insulate you a little bit from increases in estrogen level, but it also has a therapeutic benefit on boosting testosterone levels. And a lot of times practices will stack HCG and clomiphene to help males reach optimal levels of testosterone without taking a HRT intervention. So those are two. Another one that has been really promising over the last few years is IGF-LR3, which is a peptide. And for anyone who doesn't know what peptides are, they're the new rave. Everyone's talking about them. But in reality, peptides have been around for 30 plus years as well in the healthcare space. They've been around since the dawn of time because peptides are just short chain amino acids. My buddy Ryan Humiston jokes around that peptides are Flintstone vitamins for fucking grown-ups. And so you've probably heard of BPC 157, the Wolverine molecule. That's going to help with muscle soreness, tendon and joint strength and recovery. It's got an instant anti-inflammatory response. IGF-LR3 is insulin growth factor 1, and the LR3 is basically, it stands for the time release effect. So historically, people would take growth hormone for an array of different reasons, and there's a long history of the therapeutic benefits, the pros and cons. I won't get into all that today, but one of the cons of growth hormone is that it does impact your growth hormone levels and your natural production of growth hormone. The other downside is it's short-acting in the body. Compounds like the peptide IGF-LR3 allow it to be time-released, which allow your body to utilize an injection once a day to optimize lean muscle mass, reduce body fat, help with tendon and joint healing, inflammatory response, all of the things you're looking for from those compounds, but in a time-released effect. The other beauty of the IGF compound is it will not downregulate your natural growth hormone production. So it has no impact on your growth hormone production. So if we were to look at what compounds I think make a lot of sense. If your goal in a vacuum is just lean muscle mass, obviously testosterone therapies, any of the peptides that we just discussed, but again, there's nothing better than proper protein intake, diet, nutrition, and consistent exercise. So one of the hot topics right now in healthcare is weight loss. There's what's known as GLP-1s, which are the new rave. Everyone's talking about Wegovy, semaglutide, tirzepatide, all these weight loss compounds and molecules that so many of Hollywood's actors are using now to drop body fat. And it's pretty polarizing out there. You know, there's a group of people that set the stake over here and they say, hey, these peptides are dangerous. They're cannibalizing muscle, cannibalizing bone mineral density. They're going to cause tissue degradation in joints. And these are all bold statements that today, in clinical studies, based off what we've seen from the World Health Organization and the NIH and all of these various governing bodies, just haven't shown that. And then the back end of that is you've got these other people on this far right telling you that this is the greatest thing ever and that everyone should be on a GLP-1 and that, you know, it's the new be-all, end-all to help cure the world of diabetes, obesity, metabolic disease. And the truth, like in everything, in my opinion, is always in the middle. GLP-1s are a tool in your tool belt that are great when utilized appropriately. But before you begin to look at these compounds, again, we do have to go back to diet, nutrition, and exercise. If you're not utilizing those cornerstones as part of your daily routine, GLP-1s, it would be the equivalent to brushing your teeth while eating Oreos, right? GLP-1s may not be your first line of defense, but they should be a tool in your tool belt. And when utilized appropriately, these compounds have phenomenal results. Let's first tackle the issue of the side effect profiles. A lot of the side effects out there that people talk about, GI issues, agitation, sleeplessness, restlessness, cannibalizing lean muscle mass, comes from a clinician's inability to have a complicated conversation with the patient. The patient needs to understand the pros and cons of these compounds. These are tremendously effective fat burners, but if you do not consume enough calories and protein, you will cannibalize muscle. If you do not consume enough protein and nutrients and you all of a sudden go to a calorie-restricted diet, but all you're eating is Snickers bars, yes, you're going to risk muscle mass and bone mineral density. You've got to maintain calcium. You've got to maintain proper protein synthesis, proper protein nutrition. And the goal would be to, if you're really trying to lose fat, optimize your protein, minimize your caloric intake so you're at a deficit every day. That combined with these GLP-1s, the fat will shed off. As far as additional side effects, most of the side effects out there that are being touted are because if you don't utilize a compounding pharmacy and you use what Big Pharma's pushed into the marketplace, it's almost a one-size-fits-all approach. What do I mean by that? There's no ability to customize. There's no ability to titrate up or titrate down. It's literally one shot, one dose, inject. Now all of a sudden patients have side effects. You know, the beauty of compounding pharmacies is they can tailor these treatment modalities to allow you to start at a lower dose and work your way up, minimizing side effect profiles, optimizing weight loss, and making sure that we preserve lean muscle mass. And so with proper diet, nutrition, exercise plan, and the guidance of a healthcare professional, I'm a huge believer that GLP-1s can help a lot of people, especially our obese population, our diabetic population, people who have been struggling with weight loss for years and are in the pit of despair. And if you know a little bit about how GLP-1s work, would you like me to get into that at all, how the GLP-1s actually work? So the mechanism of action on GLP-1s is still honestly being better understood by the day. It's interesting how they discovered this molecule. GLP-1s were discovered by a scientist who was monitoring Gila monsters in the desert, and he was curious how the Gila monster went months without eating, and the thought process was, man, I wonder if that Gila monster's hungry. So through studies, he began to identify that this unique reptile had an increased level of a GLP-1 molecule. What does GLP-1 do in the body? Well, what it does in the gut is it slows gastric emptying. So it does slow the digestive process. This is why it's important to get the dosage right, because what you don't want to do is overprescribe or give somebody a mega dose of this stuff and cause them to stop gastric emptying, because that can lead to gastroparesis and a lot of catastrophic side effects. And that's why it is important to deep dive and understand what this GLP-1 is doing and what the proper dosage is for you. But again, when utilized appropriately, it'll slow gastric emptying by an amount that allows you to feel more full. It also slows the dopamine response in the brain that people get when they consume a sweet or a cookie or a sugar-based, carb-based food source. So it, in a way, curves those hunger pains, curves that dopamine response that's rewarding the negative behavior of eating that sweet or eating that candy bar. And then the main thing you've got to do is make sure that you're cognizant of getting enough protein, because it's going to slow your gastric emptying, slow your dopamine response, and curb your appetite and your hunger. So it's crucial to make sure that when utilizing this compound for fat loss, that you're also optimizing your protein use.